Sorry, we're closed.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. Episode 51 of Sorry We're Closed. And today we're going to go a little bit business and a little bit baseball. I wanted to tie in baseball a little bit more because, one, I know a lot about it, but also it's interesting to talk about, especially as we approach a new year here in 2021. And I tweeted out, I want to believe it was yesterday or today, actually, even this morning, talking about how baseball and ownership are taking a slow, approach to free agency this year. And I saw people that talked about how the owners are cheap, the owners are colluding together to drive down the price of baseball players and things of that nature, and so on and so forth. And I thought of it as a good time to talk a little bit about the ownership mentality. Now, a lot of you probably already are business owners and things like that, so you have that. If you just relay that to your own, from what you do at your own business, and relay it to some of the best businessmen in the world and businesswomen in the world who own these sports franchises, you'll have a good idea of exactly what they're doing. And there really probably is no colluding going on. Because they're all competing against each other at the same time. Of course, they want players to be cheaper, just like I want my staff to be cheaper at my restaurants. It's payroll consumes the majority of what your expenses are. So I understand that they all want this to be cheaper, but they're also competing. I'm competing against other bars, so I'm still maybe going to pay a little bit more in payroll if I'm trying to win a World Series or whatnot to go get the best bartenders. To continue to make Green Rock or Saku or anything else I might purchase to be better overall in the long term. So I wanted to kind of talk to you guys a little bit more about what that ownership mentality is and what these owners are probably doing behind the scenes. Now, there's a few things to take into consideration when talking about whether or not you're going to spend, whether you're not going to spend, and so on and so forth. One, the first thing to take in consideration is the year prior, right? So what do the financials look from the year prior for your team? Because at the end of the day, baseball is still a business. A lot of these guys might spend excess money because they're rich and this is their fantasy league. That might be true. But let's say, for example, just for argument's sake, that no one's doing that. Let's just run this straight as a business to make a lot of money and be a part of a bigger thing for people like John Henry, people like the Steinbrenners, people like that. And so that you have to take into consideration the year prior. You have to take into consideration your outlook for the next 10 years and what it's going to look like. Because a lot of these deals, especially those big-time players where a lot of money is going, you're talking 5 to 10-year deals. So that's something to consider as well. But the year prior, just off the bat, 2020, shit show, right? A pandemic happened. You played a shortened season. They didn't make nearly as much money coming in from ticket sales. Obviously, they still did okay in TV deals, but they didn't make nearly as much money in ticket sales and concession stands and all that stuff. I mean, those hot dogs. Listen, I bought food before. I bought liquor. These things, they're buying in extreme bulk. They are getting deals that you wouldn't believe on this stuff. That $10.50 hot dog probably got them. You probably got it for 30 cents, maybe, if that. So all of those things factor, and they are big chunks that they're losing. At the end of the day, obviously they don't have the costs associated with that, where staffing and supplies and all of these things that go along with it. But at the same token, they're still losing that huge part of profit that they have while they're paying these players. And those players, a lot of their salaries come from, they're making money on concessions. It's reliant upon concession stands, ticket sales, TV deals, all of that included, so they can make money. So the year prior in 2020, terrible. As a business owner, it's horrendous. It was horrendous for the bar owner. It's horrendous for Major League Baseball. It's horrendous for everyone. Yeah, of course they could dive in their pockets and pay out these players a little bit more, and I fought for that a little bit just because I do. But I understand from an owner standpoint that I wouldn't want to do that either. And if you were the owner, you wouldn't want to do that unless you're just trying to be out of the goodness of your heart, or you're just absolutely beyond loaded in unbelievable amounts of money that you don't want to do that. And keep in mind, a lot of these owners, a lot of these super rich people, they have money in their bank accounts, but a lot of their money is invested. They talk about Jeff Bezos, 167 billion. How much of that is Amazon stock that he doesn't have in his bank? He doesn't have a Wells Fargo account with 167 billion in it. I'm sure he's got millions in the bank, but he also has the vast majority of his businesses or his money is tied up. So That is the first thing you need to look at. The next thing you have to think about is, are you trying to compete next year or are you not trying to compete? That is going to be one of the bigger things you need to take into consideration when doing any of this, because if you're trying to compete, there's more you can do. For example, take a look at the San Diego Padres trying to compete for a World Series next year. And it's obvious. They've made that obvious to everyone as they went out and signed Blake Snell, or they traded for Blake Snell. They're going after guys that are trying to bring a championship to San Diego. They went after that. I don't know if it was Japanese or Korean pitcher or position players. I believe I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but they went after him. Listen, they're going after guys. They're trying to make a push for the World Series now. Next year, the year after, is probably those 2 years they're going for it. Whether they win or not, who knows? But they're going for it. The Dodgers, same way. They're not going out. They haven't. I don't think they've gotten a huge free agent signing yet. But by the same token, they got Mookie Betts. They got a great team. They just signed. What's his name? I forget the gentleman's name. But they just signed a relief pitcher yesterday, who's is as good of a relief pitcher as far as solid holding down the bullpen as there is any out in the market right now. They're making moves. But then you look at the flip side. Look at the Tampa Bay Rays. They had their chance last year. Clearly, they lost a lot of money. They looked at the year prior. They got probably crushed, as they always probably do, and then they got rid of some of the guys that, listen, it's over for them. They made their run. That's the end of the line for them. And then you look at a team like the Boston Red Sox, who you probably have deep pockets, didn't do so well last year. They're not thinking this year is the year to make the moves. I understand that. It's not an amazing free agent market. You got Chris Sale coming out back in the middle of the year, which is your ace. You got Eddie Rodriguez, who's kind of a 50-50 wild card right now based on his health. You have a good lineup, but you don't have the pieces really to go and actually compete with the Los Angeles Dodgers or the San Diego Padres, probably even the Atlanta Braves, or even, honestly, the Yankees in your own division. You probably don't have those pieces, and you might not have those pieces next year for a full season. So maybe this isn't the year to go push for that, especially as an owner. I understand that. As a fan, of course, I want them to spend more money right now, but that's not kind of how it works. You're trying to build a team that can actually compete. You're just going and signing people. It's kind of how Ben Cherington lost his job, to be honest with you. He went out and signed Pablo Sandoval and all this. I mean, Pablo Sandoval I thought was going to be really good. He turned out to be horrible. But these are the types of things that these guys do, and they look at whether or not what they had last year as an owner, and then you look at, are you trying to compete next year? The Boston Red Sox have made pretty clear they're not trying to compete next year at a high level. They're going to be better than they were this year. They're going after Jake Odorizzi now, but they're looking to be better, but not a World Series contender by any stretch of the imagination. After that, once you've established what you're looking to do, you're going to look at your needs. As a Red Sox or Tampa Bay Rays is a good example of this. You're probably going to go after minor league guys. You're going to trade some of your guys away, get some minor league, get some young, controllable people, and you're building for the future again. San Diego Padres will probably be in that spot in 3 years, 4 years. But that's how they're. Red Sox trying to build the farm system a little bit, but also go after some controllable guys that will be good for the next 2, 3, 4 years that will allow, when Chris Sale comes back, Eddie Rodriguez's health come back, Jake Odorizzi now you have a solid starting staff. You already got a solid lineup, and now you're trying to reinforce that pen to make it a World Series contender in 2 years probably, right? So that is, when you add all those things together, you look at really what you're trying to do from an ownership standpoint and how you're trying to save money, spend money, what you're trying to do as a business. No longer as, hey, let's sign all those great players and go after them. You're looking as a business. Your 2020 year was bad, just like at the bar. My 2020 year is bad. I'm looking. I comb through the balance sheet this morning of the bar, trying to find other places to save money. We don't want to cut too much. We don't want to just be cutting corners where the customers know it. But we want to make sure that we're not being wasteful and being as practical as we can be to survive and come out the other end of this well and in a good position. Boston Red Sox, for example. They're probably almost for sure not competing for next year as a World Series. So why not cut some costs, make some additions, but nothing crazy, and come out the next year? I haven't looked at the 2021 free agent class, but it might be better than this one, and they might be ready for that. It's strategy. It's what they want to do. On the flip side of this, on the complete other side, you can look at it in one other way that might make people want to spend more money, and that's really the cost, right? So I'll compare it to banks right now. a lot of banks do not want to lend money to people right now because they don't want to lock in 30-year mortgages. They don't want to lock huge loans for very small interest for the next 30 years. This is a short-term thing, right? People expect this, this time next year to be done with this, or for the most part, and have pretty much back to normal. Why would I, for this year's balance sheet, why would I go out and lock in not terrible loans, but 3% loans when I can get 5%, 6% next year? I might as well take the hit now to double my money for the next 30 years. Same way, but in baseball, you look at it from an ownership standpoint, and why they might want to spend money is because right now, players might be as cheap as they ever will be. From a player standpoint, I want to sign a 1-year deal this year if I'm really good. If I'm Trevor Bauer, Trevor Bauer maybe, because Trevor Bauer has had a good career, but he hasn't had a Cy Young career, and he's probably asking for Cy Young money. So he probably wants to get a big deal locked up now because he might not do this again next year. But a lot of these other guys who are solid players that might not want, I bet, I could see a guy like Mookie Betts, if he was a free agent right now, not sign a huge deal unless someone was offering it like the Dodgers did. Maybe going out there, hey, do a 1-year deal, let this pandemic end, get $25-30 million, and then come back the next year and sign a huge deal because you probably still had a phenomenal year. You're still viewed as Mookie Betts. You're still viewed as Mike Trout, and go get a huge contract then when these guys already have more money to spend. But that's the only real route you can think of as an owner why you might want to spend money now. Maybe dig a little bit deeper in the pockets because over the long run you might save a lot more money. I just don't think this free agent class is as good as it needs to be for owners to take that viewpoint. I just don't think it is. I think they're looking at an unknown 2021 season. We're already talking about how spring training looks like it's going to start on time, right? That's great, but spring training started on time last year. Are we really going to get the season started on time? There was already reports that the owners wanted May. Who knows? So it's an unknown this coming year. It was a terrible last year for the teams. There's no, the best guy in the free agent market right now is who? Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer had a Cy Young award last year, but the years prior, he's probably, a solid 2 or 3 pitcher, but he's probably asking for Cy Young money, just like he should be. And I don't know that he's worth that. And you might not want to do that at this level. This is a terrible year for Trevor Bauer to win a Cy Young, which is crazy to think about because any other year he probably gets Cy Young money or very close to it. And this year they're probably battling. Him and his agent are probably battling with teams saying, I want this, I want that, I want this. I'm a Cy Young award winner. And other teams are just like, well, whatever. Like, I don't care. There's plenty of teams that are already not trying to compete next year. So now you're pigeonholed into a few teams that actually want you to compete. The Boston Red Sox are a viable candidate, but I don't think they want to spend that kind of money right now. Not for an ace. I think if maybe a guy like, I'm trying to think here, who's out there right now that might command this type of money that is, all right, yeah, you're definitely going to pay this guy. It's tough to think of any names really. We already got Sale. I mean, I'm sure I'm missing someone right off the top of my head here that is just an absolute stud. I mean, Blake Snell would have been a great guy to have locked up, and he was controllable. Hopefully we made a run at him. I don't know that we did, but hopefully we made a run at him. There's just not that much enticing. If I was an owner right now out there in the free agent market, that's going to make me overspend or make me go and be an aggressive team in free agent market. There's no need. And once that, we had a few people drop right now that have gotten some deals, but like no one making huge noise. And why would I be one of the people that start to make the market? I want to see what the market's going to be. Let the market. Time is on the team side. It is not on the player side. It never is on the player side in the free agent market for the most part. Time is on the team side right now. And with this little action and this little care to compete in 2021, why not just wait? Wait it out. See what happens. Nothing bad can happen. The Red Sox, a lot of people here are listening as Red Sox fans. The Red Sox are in a great position. They have a free agent market right now that they are just waiting to see what happens, and they don't need to compete in 2021 for a World Series. They're just going to sit back, see what the market turns out to be, and spend some money. But nothing crazy. This is a great year to be a team that's kind of a fringe team for the following season, and then be ready to go for the 2022 season and see what you can compete for the next 3-4 years. So I just want to give you guys a little bit of an insight, and at least my view on what the owners, if I was an owner, what I would be going through, or the checklist that I'd be going through in order to make sure that I'm positioning my team to be ready, and not just my team, but my business to be ready and locked and loaded for the next 10 years, because this is going to end. Whether it's in this year, or in the next couple months, it's going to end, and baseball will be around afterwards. Plenty of money will be made in baseball afterwards. There's nothing out there right now, if I'm an owner, that's super enticing for me to be an aggressive owner, unless I'm trying to be the San Diego Padres, Los Angeles Dodgers, a team that's 1,000% in on trying to win a World Series or another World Series if you're the Dodgers. There's nothing out there right now that's enticing me to dig deep into my pockets and maybe even go red into the balance sheet for the 2021 year just to not red, but just to go get a fringe Cy Young pitcher. It's not what, or whoever, or a position player. Not really in the cards for me. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. I always give you updates on the Sorry We're Closed 19 Days of Christmas. I got the packages in. I'm writing letters. I'm doing things, send those things out. So hopefully you have those guys soon. It does take me a little bit of time, though, because I am not the best writer in the world. However, I appreciate you guys listening. And until next time, I'll see you at the bar.
Thank you so much for listening to the Sorry We're Closed podcast. Go subscribe to our email chain over at thepatlight.com and follow us on all social media. Until next time, guys, I'll see you at the bar.
Sorry, we're closed.